going on, Jerome? So I feel compelled to talk about this because a lot of comments and a lot of sentiment amongst the fan base is that why didn't the Vikings tag and trade Sam Darnold? Franchise tag deadline passed, and the Vikings weren't able to get blood from a stone and recoup a day 2 draft selection for Sam Darnold. Now, I know what you said. Well, why not trade him for a 5th? What's the point? Because if Darnold leaves in free agency, the Vikings get credit for a comp pick. It's likely going to be a 3rd-round pick, depending on what happens with the Vikings in free agency. And since the Vikings also have a lot of other departing free agents in Cam Robinson, Patrick Jones, etc., Vikings should be in line for some nice. So that was always the line of demarcation. Like, you're not going to tag and trade Darnold for a 4th or a 5th or a 6th or whatever. You're looking for a 2 or a 3, somewhere in there. And I know that a lot of blame is put on KWESI. How come you didn't? How can you call yourself a general manager if you can't even get a trade done? Blah, 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 blah. People are mad. People are mad and upset. But it's perfectly fair to be mad at KWESI about a couple of things. The 2022 draft, blah, blah, blah. But making up just fictitious scenarios where it's impossible, it's like holding him to an impossible standard, just really stupid. Where no other GM gets criticized in this fashion, it's really dumb. So I understand. Hey, it would have been nice. It would have been absolutely nice to get a 2nd-round pick for Darnold in a tag and trade deal, but I feel like every other team realized that the Vikings were not keeping Darnold, and he's going to hit free agency, so why would they give up premium capital? Only very, very stupid teams give up draft capital to go after a player who's going to get cut anyway, or is going to be on the market anyway, like Darnold would have been, and then pay him premium dollar. Right? You have to be a very, very stupid team to do that. Right? But a sucker is born every day, and it's unfortunate that KWESI couldn't find a sucker. It just sort of is what it is. But this actually sort of reminds me. Well, so first off, there obviously was no appetite. There was no market there. Like, honestly, do people think that KWESI turned down a 2nd-round pick from a team in a tag and trade? Like, do people actually believe that? Because if you believe that, I got a bridge to sell you, right? And it really reminds me of, so in college, some of my roommates, like, they had this great idea where I think one of their girlfriends was making, like, rugs, like weaving rugs, right? They're okay. A little bit shabby looking, sort of whatever. Something that you get at TJ Maxx for, like, I don't know, $15. So the thinking was, hey, so she's going to make 10 of these rugs, and we're going to charge $500 a piece for them. And after we sell these 10 rugs, we will have $5,000. We called it the law of supply, because who the hell is buying this crappy ass rug for $500? It's basically what it comes down to, right? And yeah, it would have been nice to tag and trade Darnold for a 2nd-round pick, but no one was paying that. All right, so you can bitch and moan all you want. No, the rug is $500. You can piss and moan all you want, say it's a squandering of assets and whatever, and you can blame KWESI, except it wasn't there. Like, the market is the market is the market. Right. And it all goes back to Kirk Cousins, like, because why not? Right. Because how come KWESI wasn't able to tag and trade Kirk Cousins? How come he wasn't able to do this? So you're telling me that a 36-year-old quarterback coming off a popped Achilles, some team is just going to be like, I gots to get me some of that. So not only are you going to work out a deal with the Vikings where they franchise tag him, you send the Vikings some draft capital. Then, on top of that, you pay Kirk Cousins. Like, that was a plan, right? It was never going to happen. And mainly because the Falcons were the only team bidding on Kirk Cousins. Like, what other, coming out of the woodwork, what other team was reported or even rumored to have been in discussions with Kirk Cousins? No one. The Falcons were bidding against themselves when they gave him the 4-year, $180 million, $100 million guaranteed deal. It was just stupid. So the Vikings obviously weren't going to be able to do that. Now, I understand a little bit of the criticism about Daniil, right? So Daniil and the Vikings and KWESI had renegotiated, restructured the deal several times, right? But trade deadline 2023, Could you have moved him? Sure. But, the problem of, giving up a player a half year too early or a year too early is that you don't have that player. And Daniil, led the team in sacks, was getting after things in 2023. Also, what teams were going to give up significant draft capital for a half-season rental on Daniil, right? Or trade for him for half a season and then pay him? Wasn't really going to be a market there. So it comes back to, do you honestly think that KWESI turned down a good trade offer, a tag and trade offer for Darnold? Do you think that KWESI turned down a good tag and trade offer for Daniil Hunter, last year at the deadline? No, unlikely. But also, well, KWESI should be able to manipulate the market. Isn't he a stock guy after all? I mean, that's fine. Hey, but if you in this league start getting a reputation of someone who consistently rips off trade partners, guess what? You're not going to have trade partners. Like, other GMs are not going to do business with you. And I actually think that KWESI is very cognizant of that. And he definitely takes that to heart. And also, hey, if we're holding KWESI to an impossible, very stupid standard, well, how come the Colts didn't get anything trading Peyton Manning in 2011? Why didn't they just trade him? Him coming off the neck injury, all that stuff. Instead of cutting him, essentially, and then letting him walk to Denver, and then drafting Andrew Luck. Or, and what about the Patriots? Hey, the Patriots could have tagged and traded Tom Brady anywhere, except they just let him go to Tampa Bay. What a stupid losing organization, right? So we'll go with that. Or Howie Roseman. Hey, all right, so you just re-signed Zach Bond, so Josh Sweat and Milton Williams are probably leaving for nothing. What a stupid GM and a loser organization. All right, so again, if we're assessing that Lulu stupid standard to KWESI, let's just go across the board. It's just dumb. That it is what it is. And guess what? I know that everyone is saying, like, well, it's a waste of assets. No, the asset is we don't have to pay your ass. That's what it is. The asset is cap space, as well as potentially getting some compensatory picks on the back end. That's what it is. And you know what happened? You know what ruined the perspective on this? The NBA, right? Because the NBA teams are more than willing to trade multiple high draft picks, multiple first-round picks for players that are over the hill, players that are past their effective date, and also players that are probably just going to leave in free agency anyway, right? Because everything is warped by the NBA, because players get traded for like 4 or 5 first-round picks, and then NFL people are like, oh, well, first-round picks, that's matters. Even though basically in the NBA, any draft pick outside the top 3, and usually the top 2, is worthless. That's why they get passed around like pennies. That's why people see, oh, Rudy Gobert got traded for 17 first-round picks. You can't get a second-round pick for Sam Darnold? No, it's just stupid. But I understand why people being upset, because it would have been nice to get a third-round pick for Daniil at the trade deadline last year. The market wasn't there. It would have been nice to get a second-round pick for Sam Darnold in a tag and trade this offseason. The market wasn't there. So again, you can be mad at KWESI for a lot of things, but basically this fictitious high standard, which is applied to no one else, nah. Anyways, your thoughts are thoughts. Well, why didn't KWESI get any trade? Skull production value.